So, with that out of the way, and me finally getting some level of sanity after, frankly, a long week, um, we're gonna do a little bit of game dev. I don't know how much we're gonna get done because that was it was something. All right, it was something. But what we're gonna do is we're going to move into some solutions for our project. So I'll show you a few things that have happened since the last time you were here. Some were sillier than others. So now, you click the little thing and it'll hide it. I should start it hidden in the first place. And we click it again, it drags up a little bit. Kind of feels like you're stretching a scroll or something. Um, excuse me. As you know, we had the adventure book UI that was happening. I've had some chats with Liz about this, so there's probably something about the UI that'll have to change when we get into the final iterations of it, because she had some very good points about just how books can make you sad. That's why we burn them. But I started making the UI do the work, and then I was just like, wait, what? You already made the classes that do the things you want the UI to do. Why are you remaking your code? And the answer is trying to work after work. Your brain's fried after you're looking at all sorts of code and stuff. So now, when you click one of these Moosecats on this list over here, let's hide the menu. Oh, lovely. When you click on one of these, we'll say 360, 606. We give that a click. And down here, you may or may not be able to see that... oh, actually, it is sending the wrong cat. So we'll need to look into that. But, real quick, we do see that it is sending a cat. So we're halfway there. Why is it sending the wrong cat? That's so what it's doing is when you click one of these, it fires off a game event message that then passes to the Moosecat selector, which is right here. So it's passing through this function, which, let me open up Visual Studio. As we recall, anytime, my friend, thank you. As we recall, it takes in a value, which is the Moosecat, because we don't, and this is one of those functions that has to have a value passed through it. So the Moosecat comes in, as long as the value is not null, it will find the data for it. Now, something that we are recognizing while we look at this is that this is currently done by when we click on the Moosecat game object. However, and this doesn't answer why it picked that. What number did it pick? Actually, yeah, it may answer it. Hold on. It picked 18. That may have, okay. I think I've got it, actually. Let's open this. We'll look at our Moosecat data, or datum, rather, datum. Aha! 818744 was that? We cleared on play. Well, let's open it up. We'll open this up. We'll just say click the top one. And as we can see, yes, all right, cool. We know why it happened. So the reason it's happening is if we go back to this code, selected Moosecat. It's actually interesting. Can we do it without passing a value? If we go back to the adventurer selection, yeah, we are requesting to add a Moosecat to the adventure, but what we haven't done here is we haven't actually selected the adventurer. So we are requesting that a Moosecat. Yes, I love when it all comes together. So what's happening is this isn't happening at all. So this whole script is right now being skipped over. And the reason for that is I was clearly tired when I did this. So what we need to do is when when an adventure is selected, we need to select the Moosecat. Because otherwise it's just going to use the one that's currently saved in the scriptable object data. If you as a player had clicked this button, it would have had a null reference error, because for you, the scriptable objects do not retain information like that. So with that in mind, we need to make a note for ourselves real quick and then fix it. Now, when we look at the Moosecat selector, we have a set selected Moosecat with an object value, and we could make a selected Moosecat. What would the other version of that be? I would assume just with Moosecat, the data itself. So public void set selected Moosecat. And in this case, oh, no, this is still fine. So let's go back to this up here. So our value could be a couple of things. So this is, we're getting into something that's called boxing and unboxing. When you are turning an object, I might be getting the directionality wrong, but basically when you are turning something into an object, passing it somewhere, and then turning it from an object back into something, that's called boxing and unboxing. And if you're doing it constantly on update loops or something like that, it's not a good idea. But if you're just doing it when a user is clicking on something, it's totally fine. If anyone tells you otherwise, they are, I don't want to say wrong, but they are hyper sensitive to optimization. And as you'll often hear from me and other people, done is better than perfect. And once you're done, you can go back and fix things. You just want to make sure that what you're making now can be utilized later at all, really. If you can go back to your code and fix things or add things to your code, then you're fine. And really, you have to actively try to make your code base not that. Like C# is very malleable. I mean, I know most languages are, but a polymorphism exists, interfaces exist, abstracts exist. You have all of these tools. You can add functions. All of these tools exist, and you have to physically try to make things immovable and not useful or any of those sort of words. It's late. I'm gonna sip my tea. If I can actually physically reach the straw. Okay, so what we can do here is we can do either a switch statement or an if statement. I'm not sure which, but the yeah, so what we'll do is if value is game object, and we're going to add a function down here, private void set Moosecat from game object, and then we're going to have a private void set Moosecat from datum. Now this one we're going to pass through a Moosecat datum or datum, depending on how frisky you're feeling. And here we're going to pass through a game object. Or do we want to do a game object? Yeah, that's fine. Moosecat object. Game object. You know what? We're going to go the whole 9 yards. And we're going to say here, set Moosecat from game object. And we will pass through value as game object. And then else, if value is Moosecat datum. I keep wanting to make the joke, or datum if you're nasty, but can't do it forever. Otherwise, I'm gonna be that guy at a party where it's like, or no, a guy in retail where they come to buy something and they say, hey, if it doesn't have a UPC, does that make it free? Like, no, it doesn't. You're the 30th person I've heard that from today. Please stop. Okay. So the reason I put these on separate lines is a personal thing. I suspect if you were doing a job interview or any sort of code test, don't do this, because really anal, annoying people are going to see it and be total assholes about it. So just don't do it. You can just put your if statement on the same line like this, and they'll be happy. But the reason I do it is when you're doing rapid prototyping, sometimes you want to delete it and make sure that, and see if everything works with the if statements like this. And other times you'll want to put it back, and that's just a Control Z, and everything's gravy. You don't have to, like, you know, delete like this. And I mean, I guess it's kind of the same thing, but it's just, you don't have to worry about formatting. Plus, it keeps everything on the same line, so your eye can read easier. But again, it's just me. Do not do that if you're interviewing somewhere. It's one of those things that will make very snooty people be very snooty in the interview. All right. Now we have here this line of code. So we're going to go down here. In fact, we could do an out from this, because we don't actually need to set Moosecat here. So I don't want to do doubling up on code. So what we're going to do, other than me really quick using a tissue, my nose is... Well, if you knew my nose, you wouldn't like him. A real jerk. All right. And we're back. So what we can do is we can say Moosecat datum equals value as Moosecat datum. Yes, yes. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to delete this section. And thinking for a moment. Because obviously this will end up null if it's not. If it's a game object, then it'll go through here. And if it goes through here, it'll do this. Do I want to out that? Is it out like that? It's been a little while since I've done that. Hold on. Basically, there's ref and out, and I just want to remind myself how to do it, because this is the secret. Okay, so I just needed to make sure it was actually being assigned. There's no current argument given. This is true. Okay, so you can go down here, grab this line. I hate when my monitor flickers. That's a whole nother can of beans that I will need to figure out over time. Although maybe I'll just switch the monitor eventually, who knows. That's the problem with liking technology, is you're always looking for a reason to update it. And it's probably not a healthy thing, but financially, but you know, do what you got to do to be happy, I suppose. All right, takes in a Moosecat game object and recovers the Moosecat datum from our catalog, I believe. Oh, right. Catalog's different. That's the game-wide thing. Moosecat data. All right, and we don't really need to cover these. And I'll go over real quick what this does. So what's happening here is if the value so this will either be null or it'll be a Moosecat datum, depending on what you pass through. And if it's just flat out null up here, it won't do anything, so we don't have to worry about that. If it is null, well, we already know that as the developer, we already know that the other option is this. Now, what we could do is we could say null, and then if we wanted to be proper, right, then we say else if value is Moosecat datum. Or datum if you nasty. Do this. Whoops. And then finally, else we would do a debug.log error, and we'll just steal this line. And what we'll say is value was or is. It's present tense is the thing that gets people all excited. So let's do that. Value is value of type this is unsupported. And then we'll do a return. Okay. So what happens is if it's we started off as null. If it's a game object, it'll use this function to find that relevant data, and it'll assign it here, which passes it out of this function. Otherwise, if it's a datum already, then it will assign it. It'll just do the casting. And if it's neither of those things, and it's something that we haven't made functionality for yet, it'll throw an error, which will get picked up in our unit tests. Finally, it will set the selected Moosecat here. So now we just need to take that event that we made, which is Moosecat selector. What is the function? Here we are. Moosecat on selected. So we're going to go over here to our adventure book, go down to our adventurers list, and up here we're going to do private game event on Moosecat selected. Probably not the best name because technically it's not being selected yet. It's a request to be selected, but we'll fix that later. On Moosecat selected dot raise, and we're going to do adventure GUI dot Moosecat datum. So this will send the event to select it, and then it will send the event to add it to an adventure. Now you may say, yeah, dude, whatever, person on the internet, why are you not just doing that work here? Well, to you, random person asking, the reason is we have classes that already handle this work. So when we do unit tests, we unit test those classes. And because they work, we know when we pass data through them that they will continue to work. And so we don't have to have a brand new unit test for this particular function if we don't want to, because the end result where it's going, as long as we test all the different possibilities, we know that it'll work. Yeah, I know. How exciting. I don't even know if these comments are accurate anymore. We'll see in a moment. So we're going to save. We're going to get a new option down here. We're going to do Moosecat on selected. We're going to save, and then we're going to check it. The adventure is now selected. And we're going to check that as well for what it's worth to make sure that it's going through the adventure selection class. Now we're going to select 981138. Hey, let me hide Visual Studio real quick. Where are you, buddy? Oh, there you are. Nope, that's the wrong one. That's literally the exact opposite of what I wanted. So we see 981138. What a beautiful name for a cat. Is selected. It is then assigned to the adventure. Bim bam boom. We can go look at that same kitty cat. Let me switch across. There it is. Its data is in here, and we can see 981138 has indeed been added to that adventure. Hey, how nice. So let's go back a step and make sure that this is doing it. It's not. Okay. So we want it to do that. So we look at on adventure selected, or on adventure selector, and what are we passing through there? We are passing through the datum. Okay. So what event are we looking for that to happen? It doesn't actually have one on it right now. Well, I will talk to you real quick about my new game event listener work. You may notice a subtle difference about the game event listener. It is no longer a single component with a single game event and listener on it. It is now a list of that same thing where you can add in game objects or add in a game event, add in responses, and once you've hit your, whatever your limit is, you can have another one. And that could have, say, 1 or 2, and then you could, there you go. Now compare this to what I previously had, which would have been, oh right, I've set it up so you can't have multiples. But if you imagine this whole square 3 times is way bigger than this whole square with just 3 of these. Look, I can see them all on the same page. But if I were to have, say, 3 of anything else that you can actually, like audio source, I suppose, you just 2 here, I recognize this is bigger, but it already comes off the screen. So it makes it way cleaner. And it has all the same benefits. I just went through and did a bit of brainstorming for how to change the game event system. I really like this. The only thing is I apparently missed one of my classes when I was doing the work. So this is for the adventure selection on adventure editor. Do we not have... Maybe we didn't because we had no way of actually doing that yet. We were just doing it up here. Yes, we were just doing it with a debug event. Okay. So we need to have an actual event. Adventure on adventure selected. And we'll go back to our adventure selector. We will add that, and then we will grab our class, and we will add that. Now, we just need to go back to our adventure selection object. We actually have the game event there. Okay, so there's actually 2 things going on. So we'll probably do both. The reason I don't necessarily... is there a race condition there? I don't think so. I don't think so. So we're actually going to get rid of this event and instead do the adventure book one. I think it'll all happen in the same frame. Well, there's only one way to know. And so this no longer becomes a Unity editor only. Oh, wait. Hold on. This is something different. Yes, okay. I almost zigged when I should have zagged. Or, well, I guess in the end I did zag, so we're good. The event would be here. Okay. So, I feel like I haven't edited enough code. Come down here to the adventure selected. So it finds the right datum. And then it passes it. And then it toggles the canvas currently, which is technically not okay, but we will let it slide for now. Show the adventure book, pick an adventure, and it did fail. It was selected, so it is indeed a race condition, which is fine. I just wanted us to check. Now I'm going to explain to you why it's a race condition. So let's go look at our adventure book. So as you can see here, oh, but isn't it going backwards? Yes. Okay. So these are happening first, and then this is happening, and these can't happen first. That's a no-no. So what you do in this system is whenever you hit a point where you have a race condition like that, you go through and you add another event so that there isn't a race condition. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go down to our adventure section and we're going to make that event again, which is adventure on adventure selected. And we're going to go into our adventure list. The alternative is you could put a yield in the UI to wait for the other thing to finish, but that's also, you're just kind of asking for trouble. We'll do this, and then is it ideal? Not necessarily, but again, done is better than good, and or better than perfect actually, and we will come back and fix things as we need to. So that would take care of that, and then adventure book can just be that, and this should fix our issue. So we're gonna go here, we're gonna update these so that they have their two things on adventure selected, and then the adventure book one. And then we're going to go back to our adventure selector. In fact, what will probably happen now that I think about it is one would become the selection request and the other one would be the selection completed. So we'll make a mental note of that. And I'll also make a physical note in the comments. Yeah. So we'll do that sometime. It's a very low complication task. It's not a big deal. We have updated here. And then for the actual adventure selector, we need to switch that to this one. There we go. And we'll save and we'll come in. Hey, and then boop. All working. Okay. So the next thing that we want to do for this wonderful productive day is we want the right panel of our book, which is currently this one. We want that to update when you select an adventure and that's finished. So that would be, currently it happens when? Is it just when you init? Hold on. Yes, that's not acceptable. So we also need it to happen in response to an event. And this can happen any number of times. Good job, pass me. Let's see here. So we don't actually have a game. Oh, Pass Me at some point did add one. They just never added it to the code. Okay. We also want it down here. And then we'll come back to our class, add a new one. Boop. Come over here on adventure edited, add a new response. There we go. And populate adventure slots. So now, in theory, what have I forgotten anything? Yes. Not anymore. Save and play. And we'll clear. Venture, select one. We will select middle cat, and immediately you see it update down here. Now, a keen eye notices that the colors do not match, and that's just because these colors are not part of the actual data structure for the Moosecats. It was just a nice thing I did for visuals. But we can also see, if we go back and then come back in, that it's... Oh, my hip bone is being very unhappy. We can tell that it... Oh, it's cute that they're the same color. I wonder if that was a coincidence. Let's see. Yes, okay. That it retained the data. So, and also, you'll notice these ones highlight, but this one doesn't. It's because this is occupied. Obviously, we would want to make it more obvious. But it also means we can go over to this one and add these two. But now... Oh, that one actually didn't update right. Interesting. I'll have to look into that. But now these two are added, so we can go back out, come back in. Oh, it's fixing. All right, I will solve that later. But yeah, so this adventure has these ones, this adventure has these ones. And now you think to yourself, okay, so you can add Moosecats to an adventure. Admittedly, right now you cannot remove them. That's fine. We'll get there. We'll get there. That may be a tomorrow thing. What's the next thing we need to do? Well, to you I say, we need to make it so that you can start the adventure and have it start to progress. And let's see here. Obviously, we need a button. Everybody's favorite. And let's see. I should probably prefab these things so I can edit them in a prefab editor scene, but with time, and that time is now. You can go in here, U2, and U3. And my rationale or reason for doing that is just so I can burp into the microphone, apparently. No, just so I can edit in here. Okay. So now we need another button. And we're gonna, this first button, we're gonna call the back button. I know, so clever. And this one's gonna be called the start button? Sure. No, to adventure button. We will move that bad boy over here. Change the text on it. Oh, this desk is so noisy. Like I said, very anal about noise. And yet I will drink right next to it and then have a very nasally voice. Let's see here. The button. Now that's gotta be green, right? Yeah, that's gotta be a green. Well, that's a nice green. What a happy little accident. Now we need a new game event for this. Yeah, submitted. That's an exciting turn of phrase. Makes it sound very official. Okay, so now this button will set an event, or set off an event that says, hey, you should probably start this adventure. And we know that we have a set adventure in progress feature. And so we can go in here and actually add, whoop, almost did it. Add this, where is it? Adventure book, adventure submitted. Add this little deal about. And that'll set the adventure to in progress. Man, see, this is just so smooth. Très magnifique, you know? And we have our adventure progress updater. So let's save, look at our adventure data. It is currently got no progress on it. How long does it take? 10 seconds. Let's go in here and add a little bit of a debug log. Debug.log. Boop doop and shoop de whoop. Title. Name. What is it? Adventure. Adventure.title. Progress. And it'll be progress over. Adventure.duration. Which equals, we'll just actually parentheses, progress divided by adventure.duration. That was a heck of a journey for a debug log, but now when we start it, we will see in the debug log, which is not entirely true because my window is such that you can't. What if I put it here? You know what? Sure. Pains me a little bit. You can't tell right now, but now it stretches all the way across. But you know what? For you, I'll do it. Okay, so we're gonna hit play. Show our book, pick an adventure, add a kitty cat to adventure, and then down here we can see that indeed progress is updating. Need to fix our debug log though. Hey, and when it gets to the point where it's done, it triggers that it's done, and then it stops doing it anymore. So that's cool. I like when things work. What an experience that is. So we need to, I'm actually gonna probably do this up here. Float progress percent equals this. Do I want to 2-string it? No, that's fine. I'll just 2-string it down here. Okay. What's this? What are you complaining about? Interpolation can be simplified. Well, do tell. Huh. You can't see it right now, so let me... Huh. I don't know when that happened or how long that's existed. Neat. Or maybe I forgot about it. I do not know. What I do know is now that I'm leaning, there's a lot of dead space over here on the camera, but that's fine. We'll all live. We still got that green bar on the side that I need to fix sometime. Ah, man, that tea is so good. Ah, so minty. Man. I just like learning new things. That's such a good feeling. You keep thinking that you'll stop, and then you learn new stuff. All right, so right now, if we call to adventure, it's still going to work. Yep. And the reason for that is we have not put in a check for whether or not you have successfully satisfied all the requirements to start an adventure. So that's the next thing that we need to do. But first, I want to fix this a little bit. Progress, N2, duration, or oops, actually, yeah, no, that's right, N2. So that'll make the debug log a lot cleaner. And then we currently have an adventure selector, an adventure editor, an adventure completer. I suppose the editor validating whether an adventure can be put in progress is a perfectly acceptable way to do it. I can't even think of a reason why you wouldn't do that, because you could have an adventure validator kind of thing. but maybe we'll just do it here and then move it out if it becomes a larger functionality. But really, having selectors and editors as your major fronts is fine to me. He says having a completer as well for adventures, but the purpose of that will be probably shifted so that it's handling the reward delivery. So that would be like the reward system. I don't know what we'll call it yet. Although adventure completer is technically spot on. Okay, so what do we need to check? Dot party count. Selected adventure dot value dot party count is greater than or equal to selected adventure dot value dot adventure dot party max. That doesn't make sense that it would be the party max, but we'll just do that for now. So as long as they are equal, there'll be some other way that we'll look into this later, but if they're not equal, debug.log wing. Party is not full, adventure cannot begin. So what we want to do here is later we want this to be checked with some kind of .validate function. That function would be unique to each adventure. It would cover the minimum party count, the minimum adventure requirements like hazards or items, and anything else future me thinks of that is cool. Dot backspace exclamation point. All right, so that seems good, because I don't mind if you click the button over and over, because we could always have like an error sound play if it's not valid. Totally fine. So show adventure book, pick an adventure, to adventure. Party is not full, adventure cannot begin, so we will add a kitty cat to adventure, and it begins. And we can see down here that the debug logs are much more readable. They move up every frame. This would be true even if you were to close the mansion scene, because the progress updaters are actually part of the initialization scene. And that is another reason why I adore scriptable object event systems, because they work between scenes and you don't have to worry about losing information like these selected adventures and selected Moosecats. They all work no matter what scene you're in. So if we ever wanted to add an overlay UI, excuse me. Oh my lord. If we wanted to ever add an overlay UI to this window, so like let's say you're starting, and maybe I'll make one as an example in a moment here, just so that you're not like, what is he talking about? We can make a UI object that is like a fill. In fact, you know what? What the hey, let's do it. Lead by example. So this is the adventure book canvas, but eventually on a separate scene that is always on some sort of overlay UI scene that just persists through everything you're doing, we would have some kind of adventure status tokens. That's a terrible name, but we're going with it. We're doing it live. So in here, we're going to add a canvas. We're going to look at our other canvases. And then we're just going to actually copy this, delete, duplicate, rename, delete. There we go. So now we've got an identical canvas to our previous work. We can get rid of some of this stuff. We'll probably add something similar back later, but that's fine. Now from here, what we need to do is we need to create a image. This is our adventure progress token. And I already using different words here. Yeah, there you go. Now, if we go over here and we look at, let's add an image. Ooh, knob, how exciting. Currently it's set to simple. If we set it to filled, we can do radial 360, and when we, actually we want it to be top, I think, yeah. When we empty it, there we go. So as we move to 100%, it'll start to fill. And then once it hits the end, we could have it glow or something. Very nice. Now you may say to yourself, well, what do you do if you want it to look like some image is filling in? Great question. I like the way you think. Yeah, this is a good symbiosis, you and I. You would take, first you'll fill them in. You would take the back layer and you'd make it darker. So we'll say sort of a dark gray. And now when you empty out the overlaying one, it looks like you're filling in a darker image. Huh? Nice touch, real easy. You can do the same thing with color. So if you had an image that was more complicated, let's say a little itty bitty moose cat, you could have the back one be totally black. And now, when the progress fills in, you fill in a cute little cat. How cute is that, right? So this is one of those little tricks that you may see from time to time. Oh, that's a big boy. 0.2. Yes. 1, 1. So anyways, yeah, so you can do stuff like this if you're trying to have a cool little reveal or something. Obviously, there's other options like radial 90. Ooh, how cool is that? I like them all. Radial 180. Ooh. But 360 in this case is the good one. Obviously, you've got clockwise. You can do counterclockwise. Anyways, yeah, so that's what we're going to do for the circle. Is we're going to go in here, and you know what? We might as well just keep it as a Moosecat for now. Just because it'll be big and easy to see. And it is currently... Ooh, wow, that's quite the width. Let's set this, and then 500 by 500. Does that change anything? No. Interesting. We'll anchor it to the side, and we will make it smaller because this is unusable dead size. There we go. Canvas, 1080. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. UI is definitely not my strong point. Not quite sure why the numbers are also weird. Oh, interesting. Okay. Anyways, this will work. So what's going to happen is it'll start out... Whoops, wrong one. We actually can switch this from fill to simple. It's going to start at 0, and it's going to get updated every frame based on some data. I know, exciting. So we got adventure selection, and we can create a new folder. Adventure progress token. And we can take this class as it exists. No. No, we cannot. We actually need to create a parent level. Reset. Oh, we don't want that. There we go. Adventure progress token updater. And then these would actually go inside of this. They would be centered. And then this would be to the side. And the size on these would be back to 1 because we'll have the parent be the shrunk thing. And then oh, looks backwards now. Oh, whoops, because top. Okay, we're good. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll do that. All right, so let's go into our tokens folder. We're going to drop this in here. We now have a prefab. We'll go into the prefab editor window. And we're going to add a class that can just be called Adventure Progress Token Updater. And you could probably figure out what that's going to do. Right, private adventure data. And private. How do we want to assign these? We probably just want to assign these. Yeah. Public void set adventure datum. All right, and then we're going to have a public void update adventure progress. And this one would simply need to check more thing private image token image progress token. Okay, and then we can serialize that. Move here using Unity engine.ui. Do this. And then here it's progress token image dot fill amount. First things first, here progress token image dot fill amount equals 0. Although technically it would be updated the moment it started, so this is probably not necessary. Sets the adventure datum for this progress token. And then down here, updates the current state of the token fill image. And this would be adventure duration divided by, oops, progress divided by adventure. Oh my goodness. Adventure duration. Tray magnifique. Okay, so now we need to have this get called. And we don't actually have an event for it yet, but we do need to put the class on, and we need to put on the game event listener. And then we haven't assigned this yet, obviously, but we'll get there. And token 1, I believe, is the adventure progress token fill. And this is the base. That's good. And here we need 2 events. The events will be hooking into setting the data, which will be done, whoops, object, value as adventure datum. All right, so that's good. Don't need this anymore, literally. The first function that's getting called is this one, and then the second function we'll be calling is the update. Now, we've got our data structures, progress updater, game event, progress, updater, underscore, update, adventure progress. Then we come down here. And we'll add that one to this bottom field. On adventure. Ah, right. There it is. So now that'll be taken care of when we need it to. Not much more to add there. And then for the other one, that will be set by... Good question. That's set by the... Not the editor. Yeah, it would be the editor, actually. Yeah. On adventure edited is called here, but we actually need to call another function as well. Private game event. On generate. Do we want that to be in the progress? We may just need to make a class later, maybe tomorrow, called adventure token generator. And that's what that would do, is it would generate the tokens. But for now, we're just going to put it in the adventure editor. And a private game event. And technically, it's spawning or generating a token. Where are we? Right here. And we're going to pass through selected adventure.value, which is correct. Go back to here. And add that game event. And yeah, I will mull over tonight a better name for that. But we're just kind of going through real quick and hooking it up to see how it looks, you know? Cool. So we'll save. Obviously, right now the images are on. They would technically be hidden. But we go here. We click this. We see it doesn't work. We add one. We click. And we go back. Whoop. This menu is not hiding. Oh, there we go. So casual observation. It was filling in. That tells me that my math was wrong. Oh, yes. Wait, maybe? Progress divided by duration should have been what we wanted. Oh. We weren't actually calling the event. Okay. That event is... I know life is hard, Artemis. There we go. And we would send that. Let's try that again. Go in, pick an adventure, to adventure. Hey! Starts filling in. now it's done. So what will happen when we make these little medallions that'll be on the side of the screen, we'll have a little arrow similar to this where you can bring them in to see them, maybe hover over them and they show up. I'm not sure which. We want it, if we do the click to bring them in, then it'll work on mobile. Clicking on these would then take you to that adventure book, that page, wherever it is in whatever UI that we make. So that's what we'll do tomorrow, probably. I think that's a sensible next step because we're getting dangerously close to the full loop, basically, which is exciting. Obviously, we need to start adding content stuff after that and start building actual UI and art and whatnot. And I may have to talk to a sound person so you can get sort of a good game feel. But yeah, that's pretty sweet. Got my audio issue figured out. Got a fair amount of progress made on this. Things are still feeling intuitive. We just got to make that token generator tomorrow. And once that's done, hook that generator so that the tokens can go in to bring you back to those pages, which should also be easy. And yeah, that's cool. So if you watched here, thanks for watching here. If you watched on YouTube, thank you for watching there. And I hope you have a nice... Wow, oh, Artemis hopes you have a nice day too, apparently, or she hopes I'll pet her. One of the two. Anywho, have a nice day.